The following is a special presentation of the World Baseball Classic.
To the morning drag, gone! It's a new day on the international landscape.
Base hit into left field.
Diving catch, wow! Perfecto! It is gone!
It feels like we just got started in Pool A action in the 2023 World Baseball Classic here in Taichung, Taiwan. And believe it or not, we have arrived at our penultimate day and another pivotal matchup as today. A couple of teams with one win looking to salvage any hope of moving on to the next round of this World Baseball Classic with a matchup between Panama and Italy this afternoon here at Taichung Intercontinental Baseball Stadium. Look at these standings. Win last night for Chinese Taipei, putting the home team technically in second place. They've got that head-to-head win over Italy. Right now it's the Netherlands and 4 one-win teams coming into day number 4 of this classic. Hi, everybody, at Taichung's Intercontinental Baseball Stadium. My name is Tyler Maughn, alongside former Major Leaguer, two-time Team Australia pitcher, and guy who ties a tie way better than I do, Ryan Roland Smith. Ryan, last night, huge win for Chinese Taipei. Italy's got the quick turnaround coming in today against Panama. This Panama team cruised through the qualifiers, made it here to the main tournament. Impressive win on night number 1, now finding themselves back to the wall at 1-2.
Yeah, I think yesterday when we saw them up against Cuba, I think the issue with Panama has been the pitching. Enough offense, they've had plenty of offense, but the pitching has really been problematic.
Starting pitching has been all right. The bullpen, not so much. Starters haven't gone real deep for Panama, but they've done what you need them to do if you're Luis Ortiz. It's been those relievers who have really struggled.
Yeah, and the Panamanian starters, look, they put up some good numbers. You see the 3-5, but they're shortened, right? This is that first round. You only get 65 pitches max. You have to hand it over to the bullpen, and these have been the issues and the problems with Panama. Not just these numbers. First of all, look at that. 8.84 ERA, just not getting it done. We saw some questionable decisions in that 6th inning yesterday against Cuba. But not only that, is the fact that these guys are now running on fumes. They've lost a lot of arms. So this guy, Harold Arauz, they're looking for at least 3 out of him. This is kind of an unknown. He has lost some velocity. He was a prospect back in the day. A lot has changed since those days. So this is a lot falls on him, and this is going to be interesting to see what kind of start he can get for Panama.
Yeah, a guy who won a Caribbean Series title in 2019. He was on another team this year and pitched really well. On the other side for Italy, it's a real quick turnaround from an emotionally exhausting game last night. A big win for Chinese Taipei. Mike Piazza's guys ready to go. A lot of lineup changes today for Mike Piazza and this team, including Nicky Lopez, who has been a stud so far. 5 RBIs in this tournament through 3 games. He only had 20 RBIs all last season for his team, the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, we saw him in a Royals uniform. You mentioned some of the numbers he has been putting up in this tournament. That's been the issue for him as a major leaguer of late with runners in scoring position. Not the case here in Taiwan. He has been in the thick of it for Team Italy. We've talked so much about Vinny Pasquantino in the middle of that lineup, David Fletcher, but Nicky Lopez has been so good for this lineup. He does have to get some help around him on that lineup.
The offense has obviously been there for Italy. It's the pitching that needs to come around today. 22 hits, 13 runs through the first 2 games at the plate for Mike Piazza's team. Pitching is going to be a big story today. We are running short on time in this World Baseball Classic Pool A. Just 2 days remain. Panama will play its last game of the opening round this afternoon, and it's coming right up. Lineups, first pitch, next from Taichung.
Cuba has tied it up. An RBI single. Moncada comes through, and Cuba's lead is back to 2 runs at 6-4. And Cuba has a 4-run lead in the 7th. Chinese Taipei back out in front. Another one, and Chinese Taipei adds to the lead now 4-2. And Chinese Taipei is into the lead. Deluzio at the wall. It's gone! Not an easy Friday for either of these pitching staffs that take to the mound on a Saturday afternoon in beautiful Taichung, Taiwan back at the gorgeous Taichung Intercontinental Baseball Stadium. We are set to go for game number 7 of this 2022 World Baseball Classic Pool A alongside Ryan Roland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon. Ryan, let's get a look at what we're going to see from each of these teams today. Luis Ortiz, the manager for this Panama squad, he and his team kind of fighting for their hopes to keep these things alive, pushing toward Tokyo for the quarterfinal round.
Yeah, huge game for these guys. You see the lineup. Ruben Tejada's at the top. Arayuz, Christian Bethencourt, Jose Ramos, but a couple changes. And again, this is tournament style play, so you do have to start shuffling who is hot. Play your hot hand as best you can. Try and get some offense.
And the starting pitcher on the other side today for Italy is the right-hander from Venezuela, Michele Vassalotti, who gets the nod out of the Milwaukee Brewers organization, a guy that, if you're Mike Piazza, I would imagine you're hoping can give you a little bit of length.
Yeah, you're right, and especially after last night too. Ryan Castellani put them really in a tough spot, and Stephen Woods Jr. picked it up. And Vassalotti, he has made that conversion to the bullpen. You do see him starting right now, but again, you go back to the fact this is tournament-style play. He's going to see that lineup once, probably, hopefully get you 3 innings, hopefully get you 50, 60 pitches. The atmosphere is a little different, especially for that man right there. He felt it. Up against Chinese Taipei last night, man. What a game that was.
Getting ready to roll on a Saturday afternoon Taichung, Taiwan, as Ruben Tejada will step into the batter's box and get this thing underway on an 80-degree day here in Taiwan. Wind, as always in these day games, is going to be a factor. We'll keep you apprised of the wind conditions today as Ruben Tejada gets set to take his first pitch of this Saturday afternoon, and he takes ball 1 at 12:08 in the afternoon.
Ruben Tejada has been tearing it up. Talked about the fact he's Major League veteran, trying to get back to that stage. He's looked good too defensively as well. Now he's at the top of the lineup for Panama.
A lot of changes to each of these lineups today. Ruben Tejada 4 for 9. Check that, 4 for 11 to start the Classic. A homer, 2 doubles, 3 runs batted in, a walk. He has been terrific and flashing big league form again. A guy who spent 9 seasons in the major leagues. Got himself another hit, 5 for 12 as he gets things started today with a single the other way.
He's shown some power yesterday, a big home run. Able to hit the ball into the right field. Get Panama rolling here early. Tell you what, Tyler, these tournaments, you've experienced plenty of these international style games, the World Baseball Classic. They're such a roller coaster. You think about it. You know, Team Italy, for a majority of these guys, have never experienced that kind of atmosphere. I'm talking about guys who even played in the major leagues too. And then you got to turn around and play a noon game the very next day.
You got a chance to talk with Mike Piazza this morning, Italy's manager, after that loss last night for his team. Pop-up over to Robel Garcia, who gets the nod at third base today, 1 out. Mike Piazza has one of the most memorable moments in the history of baseball. The first game after September 11th in the United States, he hit the eventual game-winning home run for the New York Mets at Shea Stadium. An emotional game in which that ballpark was almost lifted off of the earth with all the energy. He said last night's atmosphere was maybe more amazing than anything he's ever experienced.
Yeah, he said to me down there at breakfast in the at the hotel, he said, hey, man, how'd you guys do last night? You know, asking how we did with the noise, especially in the atmosphere. I said, oh, hey, man, what a game. 4 hours worth of just nonstop. And that's what he was referring to, the fact that it just simply did not stop. Every inning, they said they couldn't hear each other in the dugout.
Runner off as that pitch was in the dirt, and a little bit of a misread by Ruben Tejada, and he is gone at second, so the leadoff single erased.
Ruben Tejada assuming that ball was going to get further away from the Italian catcher. It didn't, kind of stuck around, bounced off the umpire's foot. I'm going to say you see this as well with these teams. You saw this plenty with Cuba yesterday. trying to force the issue, trying to get that extra bag, pressing just a little bit. Yeah, but just back to Mike Piazza, and you mentioned some of those big moments. The guy's played in the World Series, but he said to me, he goes, I've never experienced anything like that in regards to the noise and the relentlessness of the fans. Just, it was non-stop last night for 4 straight hours.
Pretty much the same exact thing that Matt Harvey told me this morning. He said, you think at some point they'd quiet down, and they just didn't the whole game.
Yeah, different atmosphere today.
Guy standing in that last shot was last night's starter Ryan Castellani, who worked only 2 innings in that game, gave up a couple of runs on 3 hits. And Italy's pitchers, especially early, really until Stephen Woods Jr. came into the game. And Stephen Woods Jr., by the way, not a guy who's been stretched out that long in a very long time in his career. He was fantastic.
He was.
Ran out of gas at the end, but he was outstanding. You could tell the crowd was such a big factor behind Chinese Taipei as Bethencourt goes after the 2-2. He's gone on strikes, and a good start for Michele Vasilati. We will head to the bottom of the 1st inning. Panama gone scoreless, and Italy coming up. Saturday afternoon in Taiwan. A good start in that 1st inning for Michele Vasilati, who was able to get a minimum amount of Panama hitters face the leadoff single race. A lot of changes in Italy's lineup today, as announced by manager Mike Piazza. Ryan.
Yeah, you can see David Fletcher sliding down to the 9-hole. Sal Frelick stays right where he is. Vinny Pasquantino slides up to the 2 spot. Dominic Fletcher, he has been outstanding, but no one bigger than Nicky Lopez getting it done when it counts in the middle of that lineup.
Whole lot of lefties in this lineup. In fact, the first 7 hitters, either left-handed or switch hitters, against the right-hander Harold Arauz, who deals his first pitch in for strike 1.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of these numbers. It's been a while since he's been in affiliated baseball, but has pitched in the Caribbean Series, put up good numbers, and so much rides on this start. We saw this yesterday, the kind of the breakdown, and I think to the manager Ortiz's defense, you have to manage this bullpen. Panama don't have that scheduled day off in between where you can get those key relievers that extra day if they go 30 plus. But the 6th inning is when it all fell apart. So it's going to be interesting. How much can they get at the Arauz? And they hand it over to that bullpen, which simply have really struggled these first couple games.
Liner into center field. And a leadoff single for Italy as Sal Frelick got himself another knock. 2 yesterday and 1 today. Said it last night, Ryan. He just has that it factor. He is a really fun player.
Yeah, you can just see that beautiful swing from the left side. Athleticism. Just handling that breaking ball with ease.
101 miles an hour off the bat. Rifled out over the head of Arauz to get this thing started. So that brings in Pasquantino. Vinny's been in the 3 spot for the first few games of this Italy team. First 2 games, I should say.
First 2 of the game. Gets the heart rate up a little bit.
Pasquantino, the Italian Nightmare, the nickname he was given by Royals Hall of Famer George Brett. Bouncer to first and a 3-6 double play. Really nice job over at first base by Erasmo Caballero. And Ruben Tejada out at short and 2 gone.
You talk about keeping that pitch count healthy. That definitely helps. Quick double play. It's the situation too. Vinny Pasquantino, we talked a lot last night about the atmosphere and how good Chinese Taipei were to bounce back from that first loss to Panama. But man, I got to say, the way they pitched Vinny Pasquantino, that was impressive. And that was a huge key for last night. I mean, he's a guy who's so tough to strike out. He's so patient. A couple huge strikeouts to the Royals first baseman in key spots.
So 2 away, and the base is cleared for Dominic Fletcher, the Diamondbacks prospect, out of the 3-hole today. The guy who has really impressed me in this World Baseball Classic so far is over there at first base, Erasmo Caballero. the only player on this Panama team not signed to a major league organization. We've seen him as the DH, and he's getting a chance to show off some skill over at first base today. Nice pick up there on that bouncer from Pasquantino. So 1-1's outside. 2-1, but this is just that. I mean, it is such a showcase for so many players. He's only 21 years old, and for Caballero, who's played for Cherokee in Pro Base, the top-level league back home in Panama. You put yourself on the radar for a lot of people in this event. You're very familiar with that.
Yeah, for sure, and especially the fact you mentioned he's 21 years old. And not only for teams in the United States, let's not forget, I mean, this gets so scouted heavily. Japan, Korea, all these teams send scouts out because it's so easy and accessible. They get to see these players against good pitching, how their swing looks. Not to mention here in Taiwan.
Yeah, it's not just major league scouts and trying to sign and make it to the big leagues in the U.S. There's the potential to put yourself on the baseball map in a place like Taiwan or Japan or Korea. 3-2 pitch on the way, and Fletcher will stay alive.
I will say this too, Tyler. It's one thing to watch your swing, how you run, all the athletic attributes, but it's how you act as well. I had a situation back in 2013. I had a teammate who we started off in Japan, and he took one of their superstars deep, hit a home run, big home run. It was on the was on the front page of the newspaper the next day. They followed him to watch him play in Taiwan, and one of the things that couldn't get him across the line with a deal was how he acted in between those pitches, how he acted off the field. They were watching him like a hawk, and it's interesting. I mean, man, it's such a great platform to do big things.
You got to be the entire package, not just a good ball player and athlete. As you take a look at Panama's defense, Alan Cordova, Jose Ramos, Luis Castillo, that very familiar outfield we've seen from the first 3 days.
Yeah, look around the infield. Caballero made a great defensive play right here dealing with the top. Especially with this noise. Remember that night one, Ruben Tejada, who's been outstanding. Ex-Mets shortstop.
Fly ball in the air to center. Jose Ramos will track it over, but it'll give away to Alan Cordova, who pulls it in for the final out of the inning, and that'll retire this side. Brett Sullivan, who's been scorching hot, flies out to end the first. Headed to the second, a hit on either side, nothing across. Taiwanese baseball reintroducing itself to a global audience last night as Chinese Taipei rallied for an 11-7 win over Italy in a game that you really cannot find enough superlatives to describe, with the atmosphere, the crowd, the energy, the moments, deafening noise throughout last night. 18,799 in this ballpark. And Ryan, you got to think for this Italy team and for Panama on the other side, they got it out of the way night one, got to win. You got to be very you're, I think, probably thrilled to have that experience as a life experience in your back pocket, but you're probably even more thrilled that you're not going to have to deal with that crowd going against you again. Yeah, I mean, it can go two ways too. You get done with a game like that where your heart rate's up and your nerves are on another level. Then all of a sudden you roll out to a 12 o'clock game, and obviously much more quieter today, different crowd, and you can go flat. You can flatline from it. Or on the flip side, like you said, like a Ryan Castellani, how rattled he was, I guarantee if he was pitching in a situation like this, all of a sudden his heart rate's down, he can make a lot more pitches. So it can go two ways, that is for sure. But just like I said, talking to Mike Piazza and hearing some of the feedback from last night, I think they're happy to be. Jose Ramos, deep left. Ramos leaving the yard. Something we saw him do in the qualifier in Panama City. And he's arrived with a big fly in Taichung out into the wind.
We talked about the energy after last night. You come out and be flatlined in Panama. That's one way you get that energy level up in that dugout. 3-0 count, had the green light. And let it eat. Look at this swing. This is a fastball middle. Absolute no doubter.
108 miles an hour exit velocity for Jose Ramos. He is quite the prospect package in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. And a guy who really had a star turn in Panama, homering in the wins over Argentina and Brazil to help lead his team to a dominant showing on the way to sweeping its way into this World Baseball Classic. 107.9. Goodness gracious.
Now, we talked about this on day one, too, that noon game. We're like, well, the ball just doesn't get out in left field. Crushed. Wow. But since that first game, we've seen some balls just, yeah, it was Xander Bogaerts who did that line drive to left field. Jerickson Profile to right field.
This one's even more impressive because it wasn't a line shot that got out under the wind. I mean, he blasted that into the wind and it carried over the seats. And we keep harping on that point, but it is part of the ballpark dynamic. And, you know, if you're watching this World Baseball Classic from the United States or anywhere else, you're not going to see a ton of games from here in Cy Young, only 10 over these 5 days. But those ballpark factors do play a big role. Now back into the screen by Erasmo Caballero. Man, oh man. A monster shot.
Dominic Maroglia, the Italian catcher, going out to talk to Vassilotti in this situation. It was 3-0 to Jose Ramos. He slipped back 2-0 again. Just trying to calm him down, get him in good counts.
Reigning Pro Base Triple Crown winner and MVP, Erasmo Caballero, swings through the 2-1.
Now, one thing with Vassilotti, too, he made that conversion to the bullpen. He got an uptick in velocity. He was 92, 93 as a starting pitcher, and then all of a sudden he was 94s, 96s. Because it's not so much physically what changes, it's mentally what changes when you make that transition. Because all of a sudden you have that kind of that sprinter mentality. Like, you're just going as hard as you can for as long as you can. And then all of a sudden you get asked to start a game, even if it's just a short stint, and your mind goes back to the starting pitcher mentality where you feel like you got to set hitters up and you got to conserve energy. And you're seeing that because of velocity. There's a 94, but you're seeing that with the 91s, 93s from Vassilotti. I had to do that entirely in my career, go back and forth from the bullpen to starting at the major league level. Now remember, I took that I took that bullpen mentality into starting, and it was massive.
Gone almost all heat here to Caballero. Vassilotti home on 3-2. Caballero battling. Michele Vassilotti, a Milwaukee Brewers prospect, and a guy who really put it all together last year, as Ryan noted, making that transition to the bullpen. Pitched in the Carolina League at Single A. 9-2 record and 33 relief appearances, but a 2.64 ERA. And what a plate appearance there from Erasmo Caballero, who takes the walk. Let's take a look at that defensive alignment for Italy. A lot of changes out there today for Mike Piazza's team. Sal Frelick moves into center field. Miles Mastrobuoni is from the infield to the outfield. He's out there in left. David Fletcher at second. Nicky Lopez goes to short.
Yeah, you look at these changes too. Again, you not so much pressing the panic button, but you do have to adjust. David Fletcher is versatile. He can play on both sides of the infield. The big part of this too, we saw a pretty big turning point in that game last night with David Fletcher, where that ball is coming in on. He lost it. All of a sudden, next thing you know, he's moved over to second base.
So that brings in Luis Castillo after the walk to Caballero. Luis Castillo, a guy who hails from Agua Dulce, played some time in the Detroit Tigers organization. But not for a while. We haven't seen him in pro ball in a little while. Castillo from Coclé province. The original time he spent in the Dodgers system was in a league that no longer exists, the Venezuelan Summer League, back in 2007 as an 18-year-old. He topped out at AA Erie in 2013. Member of the Seawolves roster in the Eastern League. Able to hold up there. 2-1.
This is the play we were talking about last night. We do have the noise. We have plenty going on behind the plate. This is a ground ball in a crucial part of the game. David Fletcher bobbling that ball. He is as sure as it comes as the infielder. He did say he had some issues looking up into the seats behind home plate. There was an LED light.
Liner out on a hop to second. Tough play. Fletcher, great adjustment there. 4-6-3, 2 gone.
And look at that right on cue. He could turn it better than anyone. We saw it last night at the shortstop position, and now on the right side of the infield to Nicky Lopez, 2 quick outs.
Weird little knuckleball that got out to him on that strange hop.
Yeah, he got that little spin, that English on the ball, able to keep it on the heel of his glove, set his feet, get 2 out of it.
So 2 gone, bases empty, and the guy who's been the leadoff man the first 3 games in this lineup for Panama, Alan Cordoba, goes after the first pitch and fouls it back. Cordoba, the former Cardinals and Padres and Reds prospect slash big leaguer. David Fletcher, look at that versatility. Second, third, shortstop, the outfield. A lot of guys on this roster and across the World Baseball Classic on rosters can play tons of positions. As Cordoba trying to hold up there and just ended up meeting the ball with that check swing.
Yeah, you simply don't have time with you. The way you structure your lineup, or the way you even structure your infield too, it's such a short sprint. You got 4 games. So you really have to figure it out quick. What is going to click? We saw that with Cuba a little bit yesterday, the way they put their lineup together, some of the speed at the top and the bottom. They started to separate some of those more dynamic players, and it paid off. More base runners yesterday. And a guy like David Fletcher too, you know, where he usually hits in the lineup, either in front or behind Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani.
One-two coming to Cordoba. Another little check swing. I wouldn't really call these check swings. These are like check turns. Speaking of check swings, I can't believe I just made that pun. Czech Republic yesterday. I'm just as disappointed
Own it,
myself.
Tyler, you need to own it. Let's go.
I'm just as disappointed as you are. Martin Mujic coming through with a monster home run in the 9th inning yesterday to rally his team as that one popped back. Nice adjustment by Dominic Marolio. And he makes the play on the warning track in the final out of the inning. But how about Jose Ramos? The Thunder in that bat arriving from Panama. It's a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the second. Here are the scenarios that we are looking at today and what is at stake on day number 4 of the 2023 World Baseball Classic from Taichung. Up to the minute, this is what is on the line right now in game number 7 from here in Taiwan. Panama eliminated with a loss today. Big night 1 win over the host squad, Chinese Taipei. Italy, with a win today, sets itself up for a do-or-die game tomorrow against the Netherlands. If you can pull off this victory today, a matchup of European Titans tomorrow. Netherlands will go tonight against Chinese Taipei. Ryan and I were leaving the ballpark last night. I said, man, how are we going to top this game? And then you look at the schedule and realize, oh, right, the first place team in the pool is the next team in against the home team tonight in Chinese Taipei. So everything is still at play. A 1-1 fly ball out into left field, and that one will get down. So that's what we're looking at here on day number 4 of the Classic.
Yeah, there's that urgency for this Panamanian team, especially too. We've talked a lot about their pitching and how they're running on fumes. Obviously, you know, some of the bullpen numbers have not been sparkling. They've got an 8 ERA collectively, and cost them, especially yesterday at 6th inning. I keep going back to it because Luis Ortiz is trying to do his best to manage these arms at the back end of that bullpen. But you look at some of the guys who are unavailable today. Obviously, the starters, Jaime Barria, Otero, they're unavailable. Matt Hardy's unavailable through 2 days. Randall Delgado is unavailable. But you still have a couple of these arms at the back end of that bullpen. Javi Guerra one of them, and Lawrence. The question is, and we've talked about this, when you borrow players from their major league organizations, are they allowed to pitch back-to-back in the month of March? You know, and we're not going to know the answer to that. I'm sure there's a situation where Luis Ortiz calls back to the Padres and says, listen, man, I need Javi Guerra in this situation. He needs to go back-to-back because we're a do or die right now.
Robel Garcia dispatched with a strikeout. Leadoff out here in the second. Garcia didn't get a start the first couple days for Italy, but he's in the lineup in the 5-hole today. And here are the unavailable arms, just 2 of them on the Italian side today.
Yeah, their bullpen, obviously they're a game behind, but in much better shape, some of these arms. Like I said, look at this from Panama right here. I mean, there's some serious names. Like I said, Randall Delgado, unavailable through 30-plus yesterday. Herrera. Jaime Barrera obviously made the start. The Angel is trying to make his bid for that rotation.
And Matt Hardy, even though he ran into trouble yesterday, Matt Hardy worked terrifically in the qualifier and his first day here in Taiwan as well. So another really reliable arm that they don't have access to today. So it is a juggling act for Luis Ortiz and Panama's coaching staff as the count is 2-1 on Nicky Lopez. Lopez has been outstanding so far in this World Baseball Classic. His numbers to this point, 4 for 8. All of his hit singles, 5 runs batted in, 2 scored. We told you Nicky Lopez last season, just 20 RBIs the entire year with the Royals. And showing an aptitude to drive in some guys here in Taiwan, and another base hit for him. He's 5 for 9.
And there's been plenty of that too. Those balls hit back up the middle. Yeah, this is something when you look at his spray chart, he does stay up the middle a ton. But it's just that good contact, latent counts, right back up through the middle. And you look at some of these numbers too. Again, last year struggling a little bit offensively as a whole, especially in high leverage situations. Only hit 154. Like you mentioned, only 6 RBIs when it counts. Not the case these first couple games here in Taiwan.
So 1 out and 1 on, and that brings in Miles Mastrobuoni. He spent last season at AAA with the Durham Bulls in the International League and the Tampa Bay Rays organization. Mastrobuoni now a member of the Chicago Cubs system. I gotta say, every broadcaster has their own forms of preparation and all that. Watching you work with your notes on the legal pad, it's like a beautiful mind. You're like Russell Crowe in that movie. They're like scattered up on the wall. There's notes and equations.
Is this a compliment or are you ripping on the legal pad? I don't know which way to go here with my response. It is yellow, by the way. Let's get that clear. The legal pad is yellow.
Let's say it's a compliment.
Oh, thank you, Tyler. I appreciate that.
No, it is really fascinating to me, and I love seeing the themes that you pick out in games and the stuff that stands out the most. And we had some practice with this, with the pitch restrictions and everything else in the qualifiers in Germany and in Panama, and that was the thing that was, to me, most fascinating about having you on the broadcast is you're so tuned in with how you try to manage this, especially in March with all of these different restrictions, handling pitching staffs. In the best of circumstances, handling pitching staffs is really difficult, and that's what separates managers from good managers and good managers from great managers. But doing it in a format like this is really, really challenging.
Well, we talked about Mike Piazza with this Italian team. When you have someone coming in to take on, the managerial role, if it's I don't want to call it a token manager, but if you have, big name kind of come in, or someone who's only managed 162 games at the major league level.
Ball back to the backstop, and a wild pitch will enable Nicky Lopez to take 90 more feet of runway.
Or, on the same token, someone who hasn't managed in the playoffs. You're not going to have that short stint experience, I believe. And I think, we talk about Mike Piazza, how invested he is, and the man to his right, Butera, who I guarantee is pulling a lot of the strings and strategizing how they use the bullpen. But I've been here before, especially 2017 with Team Australia. I remember sitting there with Peter Moylan, one of my teammates, and going over who should be pitching right now, who has what kind of restrictions and numbers as far as pitch counts go, who's allowed to pitch back-to-back, all these things. It is a massive conversation that goes on day in, day out with all these teams.
One of the kind of WBC elephants in the room is
USA Baseball has an incredibly talented roster. They have a very inexperienced coaching staff. And Mark DeRosa, it's going to be fascinating to see how he adapts to this format. A guy who, like you said, I mean, has not been in those positions as of yet. That team is so loaded, but this format is just so different.
Yeah, I think he has another set of challenges too. You're dealing with your entire pitching staff in a situation where you have not just the restrictions we see right here with the 50 plus, 30 plus, and the 2 consecutive days, but also the restrictions put on you from the major league organization. You know, I guarantee you half that pitching staff pitching deep into the playoffs, or trying to like level out their spring training. It's that time of year where you'll have a team that will say, listen, yeah, sure, you can borrow this guy for 2 innings. He cannot go back to back. He can't go more than 15. So, for D-Row over there in Arizona, he's got another set of challenges. And like you said, first-time manager doing it.
And it's so important you continue to point out the fact that we don't know what each organization's restrictions for each pitcher are. So sometimes bullpen management that looks really curious could be due in large part to the fact that guys are not available who you may anticipate would be available or who you would ideally go to in a given situation, as Miles Mastrobuoni bounces out to the left side. And here is Dominic Maroli at the backstop as we check in on the right-handed starting pitcher, Harold Arauz.
Yeah, we talked about the fact he was a guy playing affiliated baseball. The velocity was up well over 90 miles per hour. Good pitch mix. Now all of a sudden it's upper 80s. He's 27 years old. But he's had some success in the Caribbean Series. And for those of you who don't know what that means, basically you are taking on some of the best talent from the Dominican Republic, from Venezuela, Puerto Rico, in a hostile environment too. I've played the winter ball down in Venezuela, played in the Dominican Republic. It's that times 10 when you get to that Caribbean Series. But he has to be efficient too. Again, we can talk all day about this bullpen situation for Panama. You are hoping, if you're Luis Ortiz, that he can give you at least 3 solid innings right here.
1 ball, no strikes on Dominic Marolio. I was fortunate enough to bring my now fiance Beth to the World Baseball Classic qualifiers in Germany last year. What do you think the odds are that I could convince Beth that our honeymoon should be the Caribbean Series?
I got, as we say in Australia, we got Buckley's chance. There you go.
What is that?
I don't even know what that means. Trying to throw some of the Australianisms at you. That means you got no chance, put it that way.
All right. 1-1 pitch on the way. Marolio popped up foul ground. Inning over. Nonchalant little grab over there for Jose Caballero. He is so smooth at third. And the catch made. Ruben Tejada will get things going in the 3-hole. Yadiel Santamaria to lead off.
And the pitch. He got him. Yankees win.
It is gone! And Carlos Ruiz guns down Melvin Upton. Carlos Lee with a 3-run homer. Number 13 for El Caballo.
Since 2010, 18 players born in Panama have made their major league debuts. Some of the legends of Panamanian baseball, one of whom we had in the ballpark on opening night. Mariano Rivera was here throughout the first pitch on opening night as his team steamrolled to a win over the host team, Chinese Taipei. And back in Taichung, Taiwan, game number 7 of this 2023 World Baseball Classic Pool A. Yadiel Santamaria will lead things off here in the top half of the 3rd inning. His team's got a 1-0 lead thanks to Jose Ramos' solo homer in the 2nd. Santamaria batting out of the bottom 3rd of this order. Good start to the Classic. Speaking of good starts to the Classic, Australia 5-2 lead over China, bottom of the 4th. Aussies hanging on for an 8-7 win over Korea on day number 1. They had the off day yesterday. Czech Republic took down China in a come-from-behind victory. In Japan, after trailing 3-0 early, routed Korea, a 12-3 win over their arch rivals. And this is what Panama has done to this point. And you look at that first day, a 12-5 win over a really talented Chinese Taipei team. The offense has just been a little bit behind the 8 ball ever since, as Santamaria strikes out to lead things off in the third.
Yeah, we got done with that first game, and then all of a sudden they had the lead against the Netherlands. You're thinking to yourself, wow, Panama, they're going to shock some people. Unfortunately, losing that close one, 3-1.
And we told you today, monster implications with every game as these things go along. Panama, no chance to advance without a win today. Italy with a win today and tomorrow. When they square off with the Netherlands in the final game of Pool A, they would move on if they can grab both of those victories. And you know, Ryan, something we talked about, there is so much importance with good World Baseball Classic showings for all of these federations. And you look at a federation like Italy's, if you put a team together that has success in the World Baseball Classic, Mike Piazza gets to take that back home to Italy and say, hey, we can do this. I understand there are a lot of Italian Americans on this roster. As another tricky play for Dominic Marolio, who has made two really good ones and shares a lap with his third baseman, Robel Garcia. Two gone in the third. But it is crucially important to have some success. Let's listen in on that play a second ago.
And you can hear all smiles after that play, but I tell you what, you drop that or someone with that collision, a little bit more, not so many smiles, but you can hear Robel Garcia, he has priority over this ball, but just too late. You can hear him yelling literally as that ball's 3 feet from Marolio's glove. All good, got the out, move on.
Back to the top of the order. Veteran Ruben Tejada takes ball 1 down. But to that point, the success here, if Panama is to move on, if Italy is to move on, you get to take that back home and say, hey, this is a national team platform worth investing in. And especially for countries that are like Italy, like the Czech Republic, like Australia, countries that are always fighting on that sports landscape. Panama, obviously, such a proud baseball history, and baseball may be, you know, a little bit of a down period in Panama right now, but you know how good Panamanian baseball has always been and will continue to be.
Right.
It's super important for those countries that are fighting for air on the national sports landscape.
Yeah, and we always talk about, you know, the non-baseball countries, and I don't mean that in a way of where they don't play baseball.
And that's off of our third base umpire, Chris Siegel. And the ball rolling out in left. Tejada's into second. And, man, hopefully Chris Siegel's okay as everybody is over to check on him. Oh, that is a scary moment.
Shaken up in foul territory.
Last night, Chris Siegel got hit behind the plate as well. That ball was crushed.
There's nowhere to go on this ball either.
You can just read his lips and say, I think I'm all right. Man, that is scary. We're going to get another look at this as Chris Siegel talks things over. Scary, too, because as the adrenaline wears off, when you get hit in a moment like that, that's when you really start to feel it. And you want to make sure that there isn't going to be a problem that settles in 30 seconds or 2 minutes or 10 minutes later. Man, that's scary.
You see Larry Vanova talking it out with him, giving him some time. Ooh. Trying to see if that hit back of the head or the back.
Oh, man.
Oh, off the head.
Initially, I thought that did get Chris Siegel in the back. And, man, Robel Garcia, that reaction tells you everything.
Yeah, this is why they're taking such a long time. You mentioned Larry Vanova talking to him, just asking some simple questions. Where are you? What's your name? Making sure there's not a concussion.
Ooh. 85 miles an hour off the bat and a great ovation from these fans here inside Young. Chris Siegel has been getting beat up over the last couple of days. Here's one more look at that line drive. Ruben Tejada is on second right now, or advanced this second. He's over in the dugout at the moment. Oh, knocked the sunglasses off Chris Siegel's face.
And you think you're out of the way of it, too. Ducking down, that just like had a homing beacon in it.
Yeah, they're making sure that he's right. I mean, there are a couple of reasons. Obviously, number one, his health, main priority. But number two, being able to perform as an umpire for the rest of the game.
Certainly are hopes that Chris Siegel is okay. It's obviously, a very good sign that Chris Siegel immediately was alert. It's not as though he was knocked down or knocked out or anything else. But, yeesh.
He's saying he's good.
What a battler, man. The amount of respect that you have to have for umpires. And, it's an old-time sports cliche. Kill the ump. We're all going to complain to the umpire. We're all going to yell about the umpires. Umpires are tough men and women who are integral, incredible parts of the game of baseball. And Chris Siegel somehow able to have a laugh about that right now. That is what an amazing dude over there at third to be able to just shake that off and get right back to it.
Yeah, it is a tough gig. For those of you who don't know, obviously you see the major league umpires, but minor league umpires as well. I mean, they're trying to fight just like a player to work their way out. They get evaluated. They don't have a home base for six or 7 months. They're constantly traveling. And it's a thankless job too. No one's celebrating the umpires at the end of the game.
Umpires always say the best reaction to our job is no reaction at all. Because if you aren't aware that we were there, then we were doing things right. And thankfully, Chris Siegel's okay. If I see him at breakfast again tomorrow, I'll be like, damn, what did you do to the baseball gods that you've been getting beat up so bad over the last couple days? You make a great point about minor league umpires. I mean, the life of a minor league baseball player is tough enough, but you got 20+ other guys on your squads, and you get to form some relationships and all that. You're a minor league umpire. You basically travel around with 1 or 2 for the entire season. As the catch made out there by Dominic Fletcher, will toss a souvenir to some fans out and right. And this game is headed to the bottom of the third, a 1-0 lead for Panama. If you're just tuning in, our third base umpire, Chris Siegel, hit by a line drive that turned into a knock off the bat of Miguel Tejada last half inning. And what does Chris Siegel do? Trying to avoid Miguel Tejada. And how cool for Miguel Tejada to go over and check on our third base umpire, who shakes that off with a laugh. Pretty great stuff as we are headed into the bottom half of the third inning, a 1-0 lead for Panama.
Tyler, I got to ask, if you were umpiring third base and you took one off the back of the head, would you still be out there, or would you be?
I'd still be out there. I'd still be in the fetal position crying. Yes, I would still be out there as that one's roped foul down the line. Chris Siegel just dropped his head over there like, no. We're not going to keep doing this today. This is not a thing now.
Yeah, he's a lot lighter on his feet after that first one. Give him a catcher's mask. Crushed foul down the left field line. Leadoff man here in the bottom of the third is David Fletcher out of the 9 spot. Not many people around the world have a favorite umpire, but if you're tuned into this game, I think maybe Chris Siegel is he's climbing your umpire power rankings. Let's put it that way. 0-2 pitch down into the dirt. You and I were fortunate enough in Panama City to call a World Baseball Classic game that featured the first ever female umpire, Lisa Turbot from Canada, who called the balls and strikes for a game, worked on crews throughout that qualifier. Swing roller as Arauz will clean that up. 1 up and 1 down in the third. I tell you what, with that Panamanian bullpen with an 8 ERA for this tournament, Arauz is in good shape. Opposite pitcher, but look at that pitch count, 38. Plenty of room. He's going to go 65. He keeps pitching like this. This is a big part for him, big part of his outing though, right? Because you've got the second time through the lineup. Talk about this all the time. Best starters in the world have 2 and 3 ways to get you out. So to have success as a starting pitcher, you've got to be able to get through a lineup multiple times.
Good job taking something off there to fool Sal Frelick back in the leadoff spot of this Italy lineup. 0-2 pitch. That one's away. Bounce foul.
Take a look at a big hit from last night for this young Brewers stud prospect Sal Frelick, who came through in that back and forth game with Chinese Taipei. Sal Frelick's double coming in the 4th inning as his team put 4 on the board to wrestle the lead back, down 5-2, up 6-5, then up 7-5 going into the bottom of the 7th inning. And Frelick drives this one to left center. Ramos is there on the gallop, 2 away.
A couple prospects, Sal Frelick, Jose Ramos. Both teams. Top 30 prospect. You can see why too. He's handled some velocity that first night against Cuba. Left on left velocity I'm talking about. Winello hit him into left field. You can see left on left again last night. Can handle lefties just as well as he can handle righties. You got to think too, it must be so valuable. Obviously being around guys like Mike Piazza, but this guy as well. Vinny Pasquantino, who, if you're a young player and you have a couple weeks to hang out with someone who you can really learn something off, not just obviously when you're talking swing mechanics, but more so approach. This guy has the best approach for such a young hitter. He's patient, doesn't strike out. The Italian spikes, it looks like.
Flag on the backside of those.
We still haven't got the story. Who was it last night with the Chile?
That was Vito Frisia.
That's right.
We do need to get that story.
Shots fired. I thought you'd be all over that.
I know, we gotta.
Look at those.
There we go.
The tricolor Italian flag, the blue laces, the Azzurri, of course, the nickname of
Italian sports teams.
this might not be the most famous iteration of the Azzurri. That would be the Italian national football team. Soccer, what we call it. You got a Buckley's chance of calling a football and getting people to recognize that.
I was wondering how long it was going to take you to work that. Work the Buckley's in.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Pasquantino. Then he bounced into a double play, 3-6 in the first inning, and a 1-2.
Vinny Pasquantino, not an easy guy to strike out, and more impressively, just a guy who works counts, walks, does everything right when it comes to finding his way on base. Ryan talked about that approach. Pasquantino, the former Old Dominion Monarch, played Conference USA baseball at collegiate level in the United States. The 2-2, a swing and a miss, and he has gone on strikes for out number 3. Harold Arauz looking really good. He's got a couple of strikeouts, and this game is headed to the 4th. 1-0 lead for Panama. Welcome back to the 2023 World Baseball Classic alongside former Major League pitcher and 2-time World Baseball Classic veteran Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon here in Taichung, Taiwan at the Intercontinental Baseball Stadium for our coverage of Pool A. As we head into the top half of the 4th inning. 1-0 lead for Panama over Italy. It'll be 2, 3, and 4. I'm not sure we even clarified that in that last inning, Ruben Tejada, that line drive that hit third base umpire Chris Siegel in the head, that was a foul ball. So it was a line out for Tejada that ended the inning. And then a vicious confrontation between Ruben Tejada and Chris Siegel ran out and gave Chris Siegel
A pat on the back and asked him how he was doing, and exchanged some pleasantries. Jonathan Arauz, who popped out to third base, his first trip to the plate today. New York Mets prospect. Leading things off in the top of the fourth. Here is what is at stake today in Taichung. Panama fighting for its World Baseball Classic life in 2023, eliminated with a loss, trying to avoid relegation back to the qualifiers. This Panamanian team did so much to get out of the qualifiers for the first time ever this year on home soil back in October. Italy, with a win today and a win tomorrow over the Netherlands, would move on to the quarterfinal round in Tokyo. If Panama wins today, all kinds of chaos. It is selfishly sort of what we hoped for, that we would go into that final day, those final games, and nothing would be determined as of yet. And we have had incredible baseball as of the first 3+ days.
And we talked about this pool being so evenly matched compared to all the other pools. We have seen an upset in Pool B already, Australia over Korea. But when you take a look at this, you see Cuba and Panama both sitting 1 and 2. But remember, Cuba still in this thing. Panama, as of right now, still in it. Netherlands running away. We're going to see Chinese Taipei tonight. All kinds of situations we're going to have to run through next couple days.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Arauz.
The other part of this too, Tyler, when you think about it, let's say, let's say the Netherlands and Italy get through. Well, all of a sudden, who has to get to that elimination game in Tokyo against Japan? You think about it. And nothing against the other teams, but the standout there, and they're starting to really separate themselves in that pool, is Team Japan. They're the juggernaut. But if you finish second, you feel much better about where you're at. Excuse me, if you finish first, where you're at, because you're going to be taking on that second seed.
Leadoff walk for Arauz, and here is Christian Bethencourt. Michele Vassalotti gave up the leadoff homer in the second inning. Otherwise, he's been really good. Couple of strikeouts, couple of walks. He's got to work around a leadoff base runner here in the fourth, but 1-0 game. And how about that Czech team tonight? We mentioned last night on the broadcast that a few times we had guys mention to us in Germany, if we win this, there's a potential we go to Tokyo. We play against Shohei Ohtani in the Tokyo Dome, and that's what they're doing tonight. That is a Czech team full of financial traders and teachers and firemen and
neurosurgeons,
managers, and a neurological doctor who is their manager. And tonight, coming off that big comfort behind win yesterday afternoon, I should say, over China. Czech Republic will square off with Japan tonight in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, right now, Team Italy starting to get that bullpen cranking. Vassalotti has looked good, only the 1 run. But this is the meat of the lineup. Bethencourt and the man who put him on the board, Jose Ramos, coming up next.
Sam Gaviglio and Matteo Bocchi both throwing for Italy, and a swing and miss there from Christian Bethencourt.
You see that 49 pitches. Once he gets to 50, he has to sit. For 4 days, he is done. So he will approach that. He'll be 1 and done for this Pool A. Like I said, Team Italy, that bullpen is in great shape right now. Mind you, they've only played the 2 games. But that's going to be a factor too. Listen, if Italy go down today, it's going to be a factor for tomorrow against the Netherlands. For Panama on the other side, they're starting to get that bullpen moving around, but Arauz has been so good. We talked about that situation for him, trying to get as deep as he can, because when you look at this, obviously Otero and Jaime Barria, the starters, okay, they're probably not going to throw anyway. But then when you look at Matt Hardy, who's a factor here, Randall Delgado, who's looked good, you've got to have all these guys available. It's going to be a little bit of a juggling act.
Take that back from a second ago. I believe the other right-hander throwing in that bullpen is Vinny Nittoli. Said it was Mateo Bocci. He's in the designated pitcher pool. No, it is the right-hander from Parma. So one of the Italian-born arms is getting work in the pen, wearing number 46. The other one, Vinny Natoli, wears number 48. But that is Mateo Bocci. So ball and 2 strikes on Bethencourt. Vassilotti trying to put away the big league veteran. 1-2 foul back.
Big spot right here. 4th inning of work. 52 pitches deep. Remember, it is March. A lot of these guys who play professional baseball, minor league system, it's that time of year where you're starting to ramp up. Christian Bethencourt not getting cheated, especially 2 strikes.
Here comes the 1-2. On the ground, snared on the dive, 6-4-3, double play. What a job by Nicky Lopez, moving over to short today and starting the twin killing. 2 gone.
I'll tell you what, Nicky Lopez and David Fletcher, you see that score being 1-0, big reason. Couple big double plays. David Fletcher having the 1, ending an inning, couple back in the 2nd. And Nicky Lopez, the major league shortstop. Look at this play. Glove behind him right there. That ball was touched too. Look at David Fletcher with the turn. Big, big double play for this Italian team.
Wow. That is a great job by Fletcher too. Backside of the bag. Getting a strong throw off to Vinny Pasquantino and erasing that leadoff walk. So Michele Vassilotti, the only mistake pitch that he has really made to this point, Ramos took him deep on. Bethencourt really frustrated.
He has shown so much emotion these last couple days, good and bad, for his team. See how much this means to him. He's going off to, right after this, however far they get into this thing, to go off to a major league job behind the dish. You can just see how much this means to him. You think about it too, Vassilotti, a couple pitches ago before Nicky Lopez made that big play. Essentially could have been on the ropes. You got Jose Ramos on the on-deck circuit. You got major league hitter up. Next thing you got ground ball double play, you're out of this.
Nicky Lopez, just like David Fletcher, his middle infield mate today. Whole lot of experience around the diamond. Ramos went yard to open the 2nd. Big swing and miss on 1-1.
Here was that first at bat, a 3-0 count. See Vassilotti just trying to groove on, get back in the count. Not happening. Green light. And you can see why he is a huge prospect with the LA Dodgers. Goes down swinging on that one.
So Panama sends the minimum against Michele Vassilotti in each of the last 2 and 3 of its first 4 today, but a 1-0 lead going to the bottom of the 4th.
Now we talked about the issues with his Panamanian bullpen, obviously performance, but also the fact they are short. How good has Harold Araújo's been? Needed to give his team a lengthy outing. He has done nothing but being efficient. And then this right here, these big strikeouts too. The middle of this lineup. 3 innings pitch, look at that. Just scattered 2 hits, a couple strikeouts, 1 walk.
One of the things that really sticks out about the World Baseball Classic and the pitch limits and all that is, in order to have a good day and get deep into games, you really do have to somewhat pitch to weak contact. You can't go super deep in counts getting strikeouts because you're going to rack up so many pitches so early. So you look at a line like that, you see 2 strikeouts, 1 walk.
Right.
That's good. He's pitching in the 4th. not going to be doing that if you had struck out 6 to this point. Flair over to the third base side.
Oh. Brand new gloves. Just got to work that in. Oh.
Look at that play, though, on the rebound. Yeah, you just got to break that in. Ryan's rocking some nice boots the other day. I asked him about them. I said, your sisters gave you some very nice leather boots. I said, do you have to break those in? You said, I don't know. It's like, oh, okay. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Humberto Mejia going to work in the bullpen.
I like the shoes getting the shout out. R.M. Williams from Australia, also known as the Mossman Gumboot.
They're just swinging a fly ball to center. Jose Ramos there to put it away, and the leadoff man is retired.
That's a big out too. Listen, situation like this, you look at that pitch count. If it's something where all of a sudden these Italian hitters start getting some base runners, then you have to start getting those high leverage relievers working here in the 4th. Now all of a sudden, you get that first out of the inning, and you're ever so closer to finishing off this 4th inning and limiting how much you have to get into that bullpen.
So it brings up the DH, Brett Sullivan. One of the things I love about the World Baseball Classic, and we saw this in Germany, we're seeing it here, we saw it in Panama, but the amount of fan merchandise from teams all across the globe. The guy who missed that catch a moment ago, he was wearing a Lotte Giants hat from the Korea Baseball Organization. But obviously there's Major League apparel here. There are tons of people in CPBL gear. There's a guy in the 3rd row down below us who's got an Australia jacket on. I don't know if you see him. He may want you to sign that for him a little while later.
Like it.
Man, I love that. We saw a couple of folks wearing jerseys of a former teammate of yours here in Taiwan. There's the gentleman in the Aussie jacket. He's got the kangaroo and the emu on the crest. So a guy.
I own several of these.
Yeah, I would imagine you got a whole closet full. A Mike Laurie jersey, a couple of Mike Laurie jerseys, a former teammate of yours here in Taiwan. He's still pitching in Taiwan for the Fubon Guardians, which is the continuation of the team that you played for, the Ida Rhinos. There's some young fans. Oakland A's guy here in the house today. As a grounder to the right side of the infield, we'll find the glove of Jonathan Arauz. Brett Sullivan burning his way up the track there. This was last night for this Italian team.
Yeah, he's been taken out behind the plate in the catcher spot. You see him kind of roll that ankle or that knee. Didn't look good. But then shortly after this was busting around 3rd base to score. And again, you can just tell that MCL on that knee and getting the DH role.
Looking better today. Brett Sullivan, he's been retired twice. A fly out to left field, now the ground out to second. And here is Robel Garcia. Garcia's kind of an interesting case in this lineup. Didn't start either the first 2 games for Italy. Came on as a pinch hitter, and now he's in the starting lineup. And not only in the starting lineup, but batting in the 5-hole. And one of the really interesting backgrounds in how he arrived with this Italian team, a guy who is a naturalized Italian citizen, and he has played all over the globe. He was originally signed by Cleveland at the age of 16 back in 2010, played 4 seasons, released, played the next 5 years in Italy. He's been in the KBO. He's been in the Chicago Cubs organization. Last year played 41 games with AAA Iowa. OPS of over 1,000. 77 games in the big leagues with the Cubs and Astros 2019 and 2021. 1-2 coming to him. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Pitch count approaching 63. This will be his last hitter. Try and get through 4. Give that bullpen a chance to start a clean inning in the 5th. Man, what a job. And you mentioned it too, Tyler, earlier. Efficiency.
Efficiency indeed. Strikeout of Garcia. Gets this game through 4. Brilliant work from Harold Aruz as we go to the 5th, a 1-0 lead for Panama. Brilliant starting effort today for Harold Arauz, who is getting hugs and handshakes and fist bumps and high fives in the dugout. 64 pitches. He could technically start the bottom of the 5th inning since he's under that 65 pitch mark. But the one turn through on the mound for Arauz, big hug there from his manager Luis Ortiz. Brilliant today.
Yeah, before I could even say, hey, look, listen, the efficiency is a big part of it. He punches out Garcia, that last out. Look at him, he is fired up. You cannot script it any better if you're Ortiz or this Panamanian team, because we talked about that bullpen a ton. It's a massive factor. They're up 1-0. And you got Harold Arauz, gives you 4 shutout innings.
So we go to the 5th, and Italy trailing this game 1-0. Erasmo Caballero is the leadoff man, and a new arm into the game for Italy. It is Sam Gaviglio, the Ashland, Oregon native. Spent last season in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization with AAA Oklahoma City.
He's had flashes of time in the big leagues. Dodgers, Mariners. Over 4 years, look at the numbers here in 22. You mentioned Oklahoma City, 6.35. He struggled. That PCL can absolutely eat you up.
Caballero shoots it through the middle of the infield. Erasmo Caballero continues to impress. He's got a walk and a single today, and he's on to lead off the 5th. That'll bring up Luis Castillo.
Sam Gaviglio. He is going to get a ton of balls on the ground. Sinker, slider guy, 87, 88. Won't blow you away with velocity, but you're going to get plenty of that. Balls under the barrel on the ground. Keep this Panama team at bay here. Italy trying to figure themselves out offensively. You know, we talked about this in the first couple innings. After the emotion they dealt with last night and some of the atmosphere, and you roll into the 12 o'clock game, and it can be, you know, a positive because you don't have to deal with the noise, but it can be a detriment. It has that feeling where you're still feeling it from last night. You kind of snooze a little bit. Don't have that same rhythm, that same heartbeat in the dugout. And you can see it right here. They are flat offensively.
Yeah, it was a long game last night. Quick turnaround. Not only a long game, you know, time-wise, it was a 3-hour and 58-minute game, but probably felt like you were there for 9 hours, that third base dugout. As a slow roller out towards second could be 2. 4-6-3 to gone.
That's his bread and butter, Sam Gaviglio, the ability to get the ball on the ground underneath barrels. Big double play. But, I mean, you know, we got home last night back to the hotel, Tyler, and it was hard for me to wind down. I'm sitting there trying to get some sleep, knowing that we're going to come back out here. Imagine playing in that. You know, I've been in situations where you get done late, you've had a big game, the adrenaline's still up. You just can't get that sleep because you know you have to roll out the next morning and get it done. Plus, they don't get a chance to take batting practice. It's that show and go mentality, and you can snooze a little bit first couple innings.
You want to tell the good folks what your show of choice was last night when you couldn't sleep?
Really, we're doing this?
I just want, you know.
Baywatch. Why did I ever tell you I watched that?
I have to embarrass you because I embarrassed myself with that check pun earlier.
There you go. You take it out on me.
I got to take it out on you.
Yeah, when Netflix gives you the recommendation.
Yeah.
And it just flashes up. That was it. They know me too well. It's like, boom, let's do it. I can't sleep.
I have a
Zac Efron's best performances, if I don't say so. The Rock.
There's a British sitcom called Peep Show that is one of my favorite shows of all time, and it used to be on international Netflix. And I was so excited to get over. I was like, I'm going to download it. I'll watch it on the flight home. It's not on anymore. I was devastated. As Sam Gaviglio on 1-1 hits Alan Córdoba, so a 2-out base runner for Panama. Sam Gaviglio, no stranger to the World Baseball Classic. 2017, he pitched for this Italy team, made a start against Venezuela, and that Venezuela team has been Italy's nemesis in the WBC. Runs in on Cordoba. 4 scoreless innings in that game before he gave up 2 runs in the 5th. He's an Oregon State product and a Golden Spikes Award semifinalist in 2011. Handed out to the best player in college baseball in the United States. Pitch is there for a strike to Yadiel Santamaria. Pitched in the KBO back in 2021 for SSG. The Landers, that team, they are a squad with a UFO logo.
You see the umpire right there, and the catcher relaying the message. Rolio pointing down at the first base umpire. The umpire was yelling, make him stop. In other words, make him come set. Sam Gaviglio, make sure he doesn't balk. That's that warning. We talked about that. Usually you get a warning when you're pitching. They'll let you know, hey, listen, you're not coming to a full stop. And if you don't do it, they'll call a ball.
Runner off. That pitch lifted in the air. That's going to be a tough play, and coming in, a great job by Dominic Fletcher to help out his brother David, who was going to cover the bag, went out for it, but the younger Fletcher brother pulls it in for the final out, going to the bottom of the 5th in a 1-0 game.
You have to create a team atmosphere, and if we didn't have that experience and we didn't start bringing these guys together as a team, we would have no time. You go to a foreign country halfway across the world and you expect to play as a team. You're not a team. You're a collection of players that have never played together. So for us as Italian Americans and Italians on the team to grow this game back to Europe and obviously Italy specifically.
Italy manager Mike Piazza, the Hall of Famer, talking about his team's Mission Classic trip in November of last year, in which over half the roster got together and toured around Italy, bonded a bit before coming here to take part in this 2023 World Baseball Classic. That is the perfect description. There is a huge difference between a team and a group of players who get together as a fly ball high and deep to right center field pushes Ramos back, and he'll watch that hop over the fence to lead off ground rule double for the scorching hot Nicky Lopez, who's got yet another knock in the Classic to greet Humberto Mejia, the reliever.
He's been showing those clutch singles. Now he's showing some extra base power. Look at that, all the way to the warning track. Against the new pitcher, Humberto Mejia.
Lopez's first extra base hit of the Classic so far, his 6th hit. And a potential tying run in scoring position as Panama goes to the bullpen and summons its day 1 starter, Ryan, Humberto Mejia.
Yeah, and this is one of the advantages when you do get off to a big lead and you crush a team like they did with Chinese Taipei. You have a chance to take one of your starting pitchers out early. Mejia only threw 38 pitches, therefore he can come back and pitch in this crucial must-win. Betancourt showing that arm off again.
Taking another look at that drive to center, it's a hazy day, a high sun sky, and Jose Ramos lost that ball. Not sure if he's going to make that play anyway, but got a much better shot at it if he was able to keep it in his sight. That is a really difficult sky to contend with.
Yeah, and that's a tough location. It is deep out there at right center field. You mentioned the sky too. We've seen that play a factor here, especially against this Panamanian team. When you talk about Panamanian bullpen, when you have that option, again, I can't stress this enough, beating teams for a lot of different reasons by a lot helps out, but especially for this. All of a sudden Ortiz can take a breath because he doesn't have to go to that bullpen so quick. See the numbers, 22-23. The Dominican Winter League, 2.15 ERA. So he's coming off a really good run of starts.
Working on that Escogido pitching staff in the Dominican Winter League as Miles Mastrobuoni, with the potential tying run in scoring position, faces a 3-0 count. It was a 3-0 pitch that Jose Ramos took out for the only run of this game today, and Mastrobuoni will take ball 4.
All of a sudden, Team Italy starting to push. Still none out.
Humberto Mejia faced Chinese Taipei on night number 1 of this World Baseball Classic and quieted this crowd.
Yeah, and you can hear the noise too. This is something we've had to deal with every time Chinese Taipei are in town. But look at this. Humberto Mejia had such a good game, and the offense helped him out, giving him that cushion so they could take him out in only 38 pitches.
2 scoreless innings for Mejia, and he comes back as a reliever. And Ryan, it's interesting because now that we're getting to day 4 and day 5, the opening round, you wonder how much that could play in for other teams' pitching staff decisions. And the most notable name that could be part of a move like this, Matt Harvey. Matt Harvey is still available. He did not exceed the 50 pitch limit in his first start as Italy got an opening win. And for Matt Harvey, that's a guy who's looking for a job right now. And obviously we know him as the Dark Knight. We know him as a guy who started and who talked his manager into letting him go back out for the 9th inning in a World Series game, and who was breathing fire for so many years at Citi Field in Queens. But this is an audition in a lot of ways. And if you want to prove to major league front offices, hey, I can pitch in relief as well, this is a good opportunity for it.
Yeah, and that's one luxury you have, having non-affiliated players, a guy like Matt Harvey, for all those things you mentioned. But you see Christian Bethencourt trying to slam the ball in his glove, gets away. But you're talking about coming back on short rest. He essentially has nothing to lose, and neither does any team who has signed him either. And for Matt Harvey, you mentioned the fact this could be it. They could be out of this pool play. You want to get as many looks as you can individually, but also too with that relationship and that rapport you've built with Mike Piazza, with this team, everything else that goes with it. You want to help this team Italy out as much as you can.
Perfect bunt left side. Nice play there by Jose Caballero, but Dominic Marolio does his job. The sacrifice bunt pushes runners from first and second to second and third. And with 1 gone, the tying and go-ahead runs in scoring position.
With David Fletcher, Los Angeles Angel up at the plate. Tough out, tough strikeout. He's going to put the ball in play. David Fletcher, there was some big opportunities. We talked about Vinny Pescatino starting to get frozen last night from Chinese Taipei. What about David Fletcher too? A couple big. We talked about how tough he is to strike out. Punched out a couple times in key situations. So big opportunity here with his team trailing 1-0.
Fletcher goes after the first pitch and pops it up. Bethencourt and Caballero, that's the big first baseman, to call and make the catch.
Man, if you're Humberto Mejia, you went from first and second none out to very quickly 2 out in this inning. Your total mindset, the way you're looking at how this inning is going to be drawn up in the 5th completely changes. It's important though, you just have to go back to making pitches. If you get too excited too early and you start missing, it all goes away. He's got a tough customer here at South Freely who's been stinging the ball.
Nicky Lopez, the leadoff double. He's at third base. Second base, Miles Mastroboni, who walked. Those guys moving up on that sac bunt a moment ago by Marolio. One and one. Really wanted all of that pitch and didn't get it.
That was that changeup. 86 miles an hour. See here, that good arm speed.
Big pitch coming from Mejia, as they all will be in a 1-run game here in the 5th. 2-1. That's one of those hinge pitches in a count to go from 1-1 either to 1-2 or 2-1. And a fly ball in the air to center. Ramos, inning over. The leadoff double and the walk behind it do no damage as Humberto Mejia walks the tightrope but gets the job done in the 5th. We head to the top of the 6th inning in Taiwan. It's a 1-0 lead for Panama. Another gorgeous day on the gorgeous island of Taiwan. Still got to figure out what those goats are as we head into the top of the 6th inning. Taichung the site for Pool A play in this 2023 World Baseball Classic alongside former Major Leaguer Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon, two-time Team Australia pitcher. The Australian squad a run away from taking a 10-run lead over China. They're in the bottom of the 6th inning at the Tokyo Dome there. First pitch swinging. Jose Caballero dunks one down into right center, and a leadoff base runner here in the 6th as Caballero reaches out of the 9th spot. That brings up Ruben Tejada, who did this yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, this is a big swing for Panama, getting started early. Look at that crush. Talked about him as an individual trying to get back on the map. He's been stinging the ball. Big spot here. This team, Panama, have to add to this lead. Team Italy just put up too many runs, too potent offensively to be trying to sit on a 1-0 lead here against them.
Ruben Tejada, single in the 1st inning, caught stealing a kind of a weird play, a ball that got through the legs of Dominic Meroglio, the catcher, and then Italy somewhat saved by the fact that it hit off the foot of Shoji Arasumi, our home plate umpire. It stayed close to Meroglio, who made a good throw to get Tejada. By the way, on those Panama jerseys, you see the accent above the last A. Ever since we went to Panama, my phone autocorrects to put that accent in there, and I'm very impressed by it.
Wow.
I didn't do that. I'm not smart enough. But I find that very cool. Runner off from first. A swing and a liner to right field, and this is going to turn into an easy double play as Dominic Fletcher makes the catch and retires Caballero, who was off with the pitch.
And that's just bad luck. If your team Panama trying to make something happen, trying to add to this lead, hit and run, playing a little bit more small ball. You got Ruben Tejada trying to get that ball on the ground to the right side. Just lifted a little too high. Good contact. Tell you what, Team Italy been getting out of this, making some quick work of Panama with these double plays. A couple good plays in the infield, and then getting some luck here. Dominic Fletcher just sails that ball over to first base.
Yeah, you're just trying to get anything started offensively with a 1-run lead and put a man in motion to try to stay out of a double play scenario or nab an extra base, and instead turns into a double play. So 2 outs and the bases are cleared now for Jonathan Arauz. Arauz, the switch hitting second baseman, fouls it off. March 11th of 2017, 6 years ago today, Venezuela and Italy at Estadio Charros de Jalisco in Guadalajara. Sam Gaviglio got the nod in that game against a stacked Venezuela lineup, kept them off the board through the first 4 innings. Italy built a 5-0 lead, but saw it fall apart. Venezuela breaking through with an RBI single in the 5th, ending Gaviglio's day. In the final line, 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 strikeout, 2 walks, 61 pitches. We showed the graphic earlier in the week. Italy in the World Baseball Classic has fared very well against teams that are not Venezuela, coming in 5-5 against everybody else, 0-5 against Venezuela. And how fitting for Sam Gaviglio, 6 years to the day, he's back in the World Baseball Classic.
And he got to make his Major League debut later on that year, 2017. I say it does help when you're in camp with a team and all of a sudden you roll through a team like Venezuela. Stock goes through the roof.
Good effort over there by Vinny Pasquantino. That ball foul, first base side. Jonathan Arauz going up the line. Not often that you're going to see a hitter advocating that a ball was foul, but pointing over like, no, I know he caught it, but I get another chance at this. Is Vinny Pasquantino, he moves so well. That hulking frame, Vinny listed at 6'4", 245. Kansas City Royals first baseman and a superstar in the making in Major League Baseball. 2-2 pitch. Arauz.
Oh, that hurts too. Probably got some bone. Let's see, he's in pain right now.
Arauz still down in that left-handed batter's box, and yeah, hopefully that's just something that stings for the moment and nothing else worse. Panamanian second baseman. Oof, that is a painful way to get on.
He's staying in the game.
Panama's team doctor, Sao Sosedo.
Oh.
Arauz walking it off up the first base side with Hippolito Ortiz, first base coach today. So 2 gone and a base runner for Panama, the second of the inning. This inning has actually gone pretty much the exact same way the last inning went. Leadoff single, double play, hit by pitch in both innings. Double play last inning was on the ground, this inning in the air. But an opportunity for Christian Bethancourt. Big at bat here, 0 for 2 today. Struck out to end the first inning, grounded into a double play following a leadoff walk in the 4th.
You can see Sam Cavilla trying to throw that two-seamer in on the hands. He gets the two strikes. You see a slider down and away.
Ooh, 0-2, Bethancourt right on it.
We've seen plenty of this too from Christian Bethancourt. Big swings. Same pitches up in the strike zone. Eyes light up, but just nothing doing.
Another big pitch up coming from Gaviglio. 0-2. Bethancourt drives it in the air, right field. This one carrying, taken off on Dominic Fletcher. Oh, what a grab at the wall by the D-backs prospect Dominic Fletcher, who runs it down on the warning track and saves a run for Italy. Robbing Christian Bethancourt. Dominic Fletcher's coming out party continues for this Italy squad. Keeping it a 1-0 game. We are headed to the bottom half of this inning inside Young. Vinny Pasquantino is the leadoff man, and not often that you are going to see one of the most talented hitters in Major League Baseball trying to bunt for a base hit, but against the shift, he does so, pushes it foul. Well, this was just a moment ago. The fantastically talented young outfield prospect for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Dominic Fletcher, running down a big drive off the bat of Christian Bethancourt to save a run.
And Tyler, you mentioned it's his coming out party. If you don't know who this guy is, you will very soon. Man, offensively, he has been huge this tournament. But defensively too, some of the plays. That is a tough play. We talk about the wind quite a bit and how the way the ball plays in right field. Especially he's only played a couple games here. He's got the sun to deal with. Man.
Wow. An emphatic strikeout from Humberto Mejia. Vinny Pasquantino is gone on strikes. This Italian defense today is really done very good work. They've turned 4 double plays.
Look at this. Vinny Pasquantino continues to struggle and strike out. Something he doesn't do a whole lot throughout his whole career. Good pitch.
The bunt gamble nearly worked. It was just foul off of Pasquantino's bat. Otherwise, he's a leadoff base runner here in the first against the shift, or in the 6th rather, against the shift.
Again, and when you know you're off time, you're struggling, something doesn't feel right in your swing for Vinny Pasquantino, you're going to do anything you can to get on base. You're not seeing the ball right. you're going through it, just try and drop that bunt down if they're going to give you the shift.
One ball and one strike. Dominic Fletcher made the spectacular catch a moment ago. Here is that bunt.
Yeah, look at that. Just trying to get himself on base any way he can, knowing he's going through it right now.
Two balls and a strike. Dominic Fletcher today, a walk and a fly out. Count goes even on him. Alberto Mejia, night one starter for Panama in the win over Chinese Taipei, back in relief. Home on 2-2. Pressure in the air on the infield. Again, a high difficult sky, but it is the shortstop, Jonathan Arauz. After that hit by pitch, he's out there and still feeling okay. And he makes the grab for the second out of the sixth.
And Mejia coming back. Short rest, keeping that pitch count solid against Chinese Taipei. You see here, only 2 innings. Again, it wasn't because of lack of performances. Basically, Luis Ortiz, who understands what's going to happen later on in this tournament. You know what? I'm going to save you. I'm going to take you out. We've got a big enough lead against Chinese Taipei. Here he is. And a must-win game for Panama, clinging to that 1-0 lead right now to Italy.
Pop-up foul ground out of play, third base side. Brett Sullivan today 0 for 2. Fly out to left field and a grounder to second base. Man, we got some hands in the stands. People making plays today.
Gave the Hugh Chang salute. He had plenty of room. No one sitting next to him. He's good. Track that ball the whole way.
Good breaking pitch there. It's 0-2. Australia has walked off with a run rule victory and early termination victory over China. 12-2 the final in that one in 7. So the Aussies 2-0 to start things. They will face Japan and the Czech Republic in their final 2 games in Tokyo.
Will they advance to that second round for the first time ever? Team Australia over there in Tokyo.
No balls and 2 strikes on Brett Sullivan. 1-0 game here in Taichung. Good job.
You can see Mejia. You can see Mejia pitching in a ton. You know, when you've got a 1-0 game, you make a mistake away, it's a double. You make a mistake inside, it's a home run. So takes a lot of conviction here, that fastball. He's thrown plenty of these this inning. They're trying to backdoor with that breaking ball.
Just missed, and it's 1-2 on Brett Sullivan, the San Diego Padres prospect.
See this sequence. Fastball, curveball, fastball, all these pitches inside.
Ryan, in this circumstance, as the 1-2 is fouled away. No, check that. Actually out into shallow left. Thought that came off the end of the bat and sprayed over this direction, and that will be the final out of the inning. As Brett Sullivan is gone, and Alberto Mejia with some good work. A really good ball game here in Taichung. Our score 1-0 through 6 in Taiwan. The scenarios as they stand on the penultimate day of Pool A action in the 2023 World Baseball Classic. So much hanging in the balance with this game. Panama right now clinging to a 1-run lead at 1-0. Out of contention to advance to the next round with a loss. Staying alive if they can knock off Italy. Italy needs a win today and a win tomorrow to guarantee a trip to the quarterfinal round in Tokyo. Get a look at our Pool A standings here on day number 4. Panama done after today. They started with games the first 4 days of this classic after coming out of the qualifiers on home soil in Panama City in October. So this is their final game. Rope out to right field. Jose Ramos, who generated the only run of the game today with his leadoff homer in the second. Has his second hit of the day on a single he fires the other way.
They needed this too. Middle of this lineup, starting to wake up. 1-0 just simply is not going to do it, in my opinion. I think Italy's going to catch fire at the right time. I think they're still a little, they're dragging a little bit from last night.
107.9 off the bat for the homer, 102 off the bat on that single. Jose Ramos moves pretty well as well. Putting on the oven mitt over there at first as Erasmo Caballero takes strike one.
Panama's been stinging the ball though. I mean, they've had plenty of opportunities and chances, but the Italian defense has been really bailing them out. Obviously, that play, last inning from Dominic Fletcher, but some of the double plays too, cutting these innings down. It's a big chance. They've got to add to that lead. The other thing too, we talked a lot about the bullpen, and obviously Humberto Mejia has saved that bullpen and his team tremendously by just a couple good innings. But they just need to bridge the gap to get to their two big arms in that bullpen. That's Javi Guerra and Lawrence, two major league arms. That's the goal right here in this last game for them.
Caballero in the air to Dominic Fletcher for the first out of the seventh.
And on the flip side, Team Italy have such a big chance they win this game. They are sitting pretty. They control their own destiny so much more than if they lose this game. They have to start doing the old manufacturing of energy in that dugout somehow. It's kind of, and Tyler, it's that balance too. Look, I've been in these tournaments before where it's so quick. It happens so quick, right? The 4 games, and you guys like Vinny Pescantino or David Fletcher, they can catch fire. Sometimes they don't, like you're seeing today. But you have to balance out the rah-rah stuff in the dugout. You don't want the eye rolling happening down the other end of the dugout, because there's just different personalities, guys. You're getting to know for the first time how they respond. But whatever it takes, that's how you got to know your team. What is it that's going to get something going offensively? Start putting pressure on this Panamanian team.
Not to mention, it's so difficult to sustain the energy at a level 8 to 10 for the entirety of a 4-game stretch. I mean, you got to have the dips and the ebbs and flows as Castillo squeaks this back to the mound. Ramos was off on that pitch, so he will stay out of the double play, and a potential insurance run moves into scoring position. Something I was just thinking, we have only seen one base runner reach third base on either side today. That was Nicky Lopez after that leadoff double in the 5th. Miles Mastrobuoni walked behind him. Dominic Meroglio sacrificed them to scoring position in second and third, but these two offenses have just been held in check all day.
Yeah, you mentioned that 5th inning and talking about Humberto Mejia, how much he's meant to this team and this bullpen coming back to pitch in this game after that first outing. He's standing outside of the dugout right now down there at first base. He's so fired up. But that 5th inning too, that was Italy's big chance. They had runners on first and second, none out.
Cordoba over the leap of Garcia and down in left field. Around third base, here comes Ramos. 2-0 lead as Panama extends it in the 7th. Cordoba moves up on the throw, so he's in scoring position now. Coming through out of the 7 spot.
How big is that second run for Panama? We talked about one run not going to be good enough. San Cavilla just serving up a fastball down the middle, especially late here.
And now first pitch swinging, Santa Maria diving stab by Garcia, long throw, got him. Great play by Robel Garcia as Italy's defense continues to amaze. But Panama tacks on a run on the RBI single by Alan Cordoba and carries a 2-0 lead to the bottom of the 7th inside John. It's been a 1-0 game since the top of the second inning. Panama finally able to add to that lead in the top of the seventh. Alan Cordoba, who has been in the leadoff spot first few days in this team.
And look at Mejia. Just through the last 2 innings, look how fired up he is. What a job he did, bouncing out of that dugout. I've got to say that second run is huge for Panama right now. You've got the Italian team have to generate some base runners. They're just unable to do it so far. And you've got this guy on the mound, Alberto Baldonado, who has pitched plenty in minor league baseball. Lefty, mid-90s fastball. The Achilles heel has been the command. This is a situation where Team Italy have to start generating some base runners. Interesting move here by that man too, Ortiz. Taking out Mejia. His pitch count is in really good shape because it's stuck with him. We've questioned some of the decisions he made with the bullpen yesterday in the 5th and 6th inning. Electing to go to a guy, Tyler, who struggles to throw strikes.
Alberto Baldonado, you know, we're looking at the scouting report. This guy is a left-hander who touches mid-90s. He has spent 12 years in minor league baseball and has not been able to last in the big leagues. Did make his big league debut in 2021, but originally signed in September of 2009. We got a pinch hitter that will take the first at-bat of this 7th inning, and it is the Tigers prospect John Valenti, who had a big hit against Chinese Taipei. Check that. Had a big hit in game number 1 against Cuba, and he lays down a bunt third base side. Caballero's throw! Nice dig over at first. Alan Cordoba immediately wants a look. As safe is the initial call from Larry Vanover, and Luis Ortiz is not even going to wait.
And you can see Valenti just glancing down to third base to see how far back Caballero was playing. Said, you know what?
I got 30 seconds.
Luis Ortiz making sure he's got the time.
Well, we were picking up some great audio from these dugouts, and you can hear Luis Ortiz say, he's waiting down on the screen. I got 30 seconds until I need to challenge, and now he will go to replay review. Live, I certainly thought that Cordoba had made that pick before Valenti got there.
And you can see Valenti just having a peek down to third base. You know they need base runners. We saw Pasquantino trying to lay a bunt down. This is that pressing that panic button a little bit. I think he's safe easily.
Yeah, I think you're right. That was a really nice play by Jose Caballero.
No, maybe not.
That is all going to depend on that spike. And now we're having a conversation over at first. Larry Vanover is over with Luis Ortiz. Oh, wow. They're going to say that it took too long for Luis Ortiz to request this review. Or at least that was what we heard from Chris Siegel, who came over from the third base side. Now I think we will get this review.
I think so too. I think in a situation how big this game is, how pivotal this play is, you still have to review it. You see Mike Piazza now going to come out and talk it over.
How about Alan Cordoba as well? He just moved to first base this inning. He started this game in left field. The ball is certainly in the back of the glove. The question is going to be, is that right foot on the bag?
Yeah, I think you can see that foot, especially from this angle. We get a chance to see this angle. That foot slid off the bag, but we shall see. They are going to review this play. Now both dugouts.
Now Mike Piazza wants an explanation as well.
I know. But as soon as he says it, he starts walking to you. So 20 seconds out.
Dominic Meroglio voicing his opinion. Blake Butera going out to collect his catcher, and that is a very, very quick reversal on that call. So obviously, somebody had been looking at that before we got to review. As soon as the headset went on, the call is made. So John Valenti, that is a great effort by John Valenti. I mean, he is flying up the line, but just an eighth of a step too slow. And it's a leadoff out in the bottom of the 7th.
Wow, is this a play we're going to be talking about days, maybe years after this pool plays over? If Italy's unable to get that second run. I mean, that is massive for Team Panama to challenge that play, make sure they got enough looks down in that dugout, get it overturned.
And you certainly understand both sides of this. I mean, Panama wanting to get that review as Nicky Lopez continues to sting the ball, but he shoots this one straight out to Jose Ramos. And you understand Italy's side of it, of saying, hey, it took too long.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep the base runner. May seem like a technicality, but if you're fighting to keep that base runner, that's going to be your argument. Lopez gone, and with 2 outs and the base is clear, that is now 8 straight retired by Panamanian pitching.
And listen, if you're a guy like Baldonado, the pitcher on the mound right now, who's throughout his career, he had some good command, numbers this year in AAA. But when you have these bouts of command issues, pitching with runners on, I've been there, pitching with runners on, that's where you start to lose it. So with Italy having that base runner to start this inning, they are in business now. All of a sudden, 2 quick outs here in the 7th.
Defensive changes for Panama. You see on your screen Edgar Munoz in left field. Alan Cordova making that play on the back end of the terrific throw by Jose Caballero. He's at first base now. Johnny Santos replacing Luis Castillo, so he's in right. Erasmo Caballero out of the game.
Italy's bullpen's getting going right now. You'd think with Italy too, with a situation like this, they're down 2-0. Look at the bullpen.
That is once again Matteo Bocci from Parma. Liner left side, speared on one hop by Tejada, going to first. What a play by the former big leaguer Ruben Tejada. We've talked so much about Italy's defense today. It's Panama's that comes up massive in the 7th, but we will maybe get a look at this. And Mike Piazza does want to review.
Big smile on his face.
And Dominic Marolio's still giving it to this umpiring crew. And they will talk this over. Oh, man.
Marolio still anchoring on the other review they're allowed to give Panama.
This will give us a good look.
Yeah, I think they got him. That foot's on the bag. I think he's out.
And that is a very quick out call as Miles Mastroboni is retired. A spectacular play at short by the 33-year-old Ruben Tejada. We're going to the 8th inside Jones. How lucky have we been with the types of games we have had in Pool A play here in Taichung, Taiwan, as it's a 2-0 Panama lead going to the top of the 8th inning over Italy. And the first Italian-born player that we will see on the pitcher's mound for Italy today is the former Texas Longhorn, Matteo Bocci, who takes over on the pitcher's mound for the 8th.
You see the numbers right here. You mentioned born in Italy, but has had a stint in professional baseball in the States, 2021. 4.3 ERA, pitching a big spot right here. Team down by 2. They get his team back in the dugout. God, what about some of the defense today, Tyler? We were just talking in the break. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right. Jose Caballero will lead things off as the son of Adele Comino, and Roberto Bocci deals his first pitch in the World Baseball Classic. It's ball 1 outside. He was the first Italian-born student athlete to ever play college baseball at the University of Texas. Guy who's pitched in international competitions in the past, including the Little League World Series, the U18 Baseball World Cup, and a guy who took part in some seasons in minor league baseball. Pitch there for a strike, 1-2. Chicago Cubs prospect did reach AAA. He got just 1 outing at the AAA level back in 2019, which was kind of a depth move more than anything else. Just 1 outing, and that was the year in which he made his professional baseball debut, as a matter of fact, and inking a deal with the Cubs. John Valenti staying in the game, the pinch hitter. He's over at third base now. A ball and 2 strikes. 2-2. Bocci from one of the Italian baseball hotbeds, Parma, in the Emilia-Romagna region, which is where his manager Mike Piazza now lives. Grounder out to second. David Fletcher, 1 up, 1 down.
We talked about some of the defense today on both sides, Italy and Panama. Look at this. Ruben Tejada, he's still got it. The New York Mets shortstop for 9 years in the majors, trying to get back on the map. Guarantee you that helps right there when you can play on both sides. Hit the home run yesterday. Offensively, he's showing up, and defensively too. It's one thing you look at when you see, an aging player, someone who's trying to get back. Can they get that step to the left and right, same range? Massive.
He does the lion's share of the work on that play, but Alan Cordoba with a good stretch there and a terrific dig on the throw earlier in the inning from Jose Caballero. That was a 3 up, 3 down inning in which he put 5 stars by 2 of those plays. And Tejada trying to get something started back at the top of the order with 1 out here in the 8th. And he's down 0-2.
See Matteo Bocci, that fastball 89 to 91 with sink. He's got that frisbee slider, that low 3/4 arm slot. Humberto Mejia bailing out his bullpen. Really come back on short rest. That 5th inning, Tyler, was crucial. That was Italy's big chance. Runners on first and second, none out. Nothing doing.
0-2 when he gets Tejada. Strikeout for Bocci, and that'll bring up Jonathan Arauz with 2 outs and the bases clear.
That's that slider I was talking about from Bocci. This is his 2-strike pitch. If he can stay on top of that pitch, get that good break.
Coming up on 7:30 in the morning in Parma, Italy. Beautiful Emilia-Romagna, where Matteo Bocci learned how to play this game that he's now working on the world stage. 1-1 count on the Mets prospect Arauz, who is 0 for 1 today, a walk and a hit by pitch as well.
Here's a report on Matteo Bocci. We talked about the sinking fastball, 89 to 90. He's got that funky sidearm delivery. He's got some deception. Ability to get swings and misses. He gets that with that sweeping slider.
Michele Vesalotti really good over 4 innings. Sam Gaviglio in behind him for 2. Actually, check that 3 as Bochy works here in the 8th. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Christian Bethencourt hoping it'll get to him on deck. He has not had the easiest of classics, but he'll get at least one more chance here in the 8th. He has had some real tough luck today here on a Saturday afternoon.
And this is what he does so well with 2 strikes. He's able to hit the ball to right field. Right, you see, first of all, the double play, hit that ball, he stung it. And this is what I'm talking about. 2 strikes, good pitch too. Drives that ball out to right field. Dominic Fletcher. You can see the frustration. But his team is up 2-0. It'll make this pool extremely interesting if Panama can cling to this lead.
Jonathan Arauz has reached 3 times in 4 trips to the plate. Visit to the mound from Dominic Marolio. Let's get on the same page with Bochy as Bethencourt steps in.
You know, Tyler, we talk a lot about the pitches, how you use them in the bullpen, especially for Panama. They've got 2 arms who essentially can be lights out for you, 2 big league arms. Justin Lawrence, Harvey Guerra. Now I'm looking down that bullpen for Team Panama. Harvey Guerra did pitch yesterday. So I think that we talk about it, and again, we speculate that teams in the United States, the team that these players are with, they have their own restrictions on some of these players. So Baldonado, he looked good that last inning. But this is the last game for Panama. This is it. You just throw everything at this game. So I want to say that Ortiz in this situation would love to use these 2 arms for the 8th inning and the 9th inning, but I think he's only going to have one option.
No balls and 2 strikes on the veteran Bethencourt. And quickly dispatched. A really impressive inning of work for Matteo Bochy. A couple of strikeouts. He works around the 2-out walk, and we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Italy needs the bats to come alive, down 2-0. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Headed to the bottom of the 8th inning in a 2-0 game, a tight one, a tense one, and a lot on the line for these teams as the leadoff man for Italy in the bottom of the 8th will be the catcher Dominic Marolio, who is 0 for 1, a foul out in that sacrifice bunt today. And the first pitch to him is up and away for ball 1. There are the standings, how things look in Pool A as of right now. Panama needs a win to stay alive. Italy needs a win in order to control its own destiny as this one's bounced over to third. A long throw across the diamond. Jose Caballero makes the play, out number 1. Here are the scenarios as they sit today. Panama out with a loss. Italy alive to control its own destiny if it can rally and take the win today and then knock off the Netherlands tomorrow. And in just a 2-0 game, nothing decided in this one in the 8th. As David Fletcher comes to the plate.
Tyler, we weren't kidding either. How evenly balanced this pool has been. We've seen a couple blowouts already over in Japan. A couple lopsided scores, but not the case here at all. It's Team Italy too. You got to give it to Panama. The pitching, the defense, shut down this Italian offense. This tells you everything you need to know. With what they're dealing with, this Italian team, dealing with last night. 4 hours, packed house, all the noise. Different story here today. Now look at that. A lot of offers. Nicky Lopez, 2 for 3, has been red hot. Big one for me, though, when you look at Vinny Pasquantino and Dominic Fletcher, that's been, and even last night as well, too, with Vinny Pasquantino, the way they shut him down in some big moments, and the 2 strikeouts.
0 for 9 mark from the 2 through 5 hitters. As David Fletcher battling out of the 9 spot in the order. Italy has only been shut out twice in World Baseball Classic history, both times by their WBC nemesis, Venezuela. And the last time that happened was 2009. Look at the difference today. Few opportunities with runners in scoring position, unable to come through in those limited opportunities. Fletcher back off the glove of Baldonado. Recovers, flips, second out.
Gets the ball off the glove, David Fletcher. He can run, he can move down there, so this is a good job from Baldonado just to stay with this ball. Stay with his feet underneath him.
What does that panic feel like when you know you've made contact with the ball, but you deflect it, you don't know where it is?
Well, I think with Baldonado, it's that first glance. If you look down, you can't see it. So if he was looking to his right, that's where the panic sets in. That first glance, if you see it on the ground, you're golden for most of the time. But you just have to know the runner as well, how much time you have. Sometimes you rush it, you bobble it again when you got more time than you need. But man, when it comes out of your glove and you're looking left, looking right, you just can't find the ball. Brutal. The other thing is too, when you execute a pitch and you get a ball right back to you, it's just that frustration. You work so hard to get that guy to put the ball in play. He's looked good though. We talked about some of the bouts of the command and some of the issues he's had stopping this 95 mile per hour from the left side arm, getting to the big leagues and staying there. He's commanding 2 pitches all day here today.
Ball hit well down the left field line, chasing it toward the corner, reaching out. No play out there in left for the defensive change. As the new left fielder into the game, Edgar Munoz, had to run a long way, and it is a 2-out double for Sal Frelick back at the top of the order.
This is a big moment for Vinny Pasquantino in an Italian uniform. It starts here though. We talked about this team handling Velo at the top of the strike zone. Sal Frelick, look at this, left on left, and this shows you why he is going to be a fixture with the Milwaukee Brewers. Hitting that ball to left field. Fastball up in the strike zone.
Big spot now.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. You got a situation where you got Baldonado, who is tough on lefties, but you have the biggest threat at the box. A guy though who you've handled all day, and you've watched him last night get handled left on left. I think you have to pitch to him in this situation, even with the base open.
2 balls and no strikes. We saw last night the splits. Vinny Pasquantino in the big leagues handles left-handed pitching very well, but doesn't hit for a lot of power against left-handed pitching. All 10 of his homers last year came against righties.
Already the 2 sliders outside of the strike zone. They're going to be careful. Looks like they're going to pitch around Vinny Pasquantino, see if they can get a swing, a chase. Not going to happen. Good pitch.
That one bites the outside corner, 2-1.
All right. Trying to finish that thought. When I say not going to happen, he doesn't chase. He's so patient. You're going to have to come up with pitches like this if you want to survive in this count. It's a slider on the black. Look at Vinny Pasquantino saying no.
2-1. 2-2.
That was a mistake. Fastball middle. You mentioned the average too. Hit 350 against lefties. 54 at bats, but no homers. I think Italy will settle right now for a base hit.
Just trying to get on the board. 2-2 pitch. And called strike 3. Baldonado freezes Pasquantino and takes this game to the 9th. Panama doing the biggest things in the biggest moments and carrying a 2-0 lead through 8th. 9th inning ahead from Taiwan.
Tyler, we talk about some big moments. Baldonado, this bullpen has been problematic, but what about this pitch sequence? We talked about the open base against Vinny Pasquantino, the biggest threat. He goes 2-0, 2 sliders pitching around him, and then he challenges him, gets back in the strike zone. That pitch right there sets up this. Absolute conviction fastball up in the strike zone. He is, and Vinny Pasquantino is frozen. Mike Piazza just shaking his head in disbelief. You just don't see that. But I'm going to give it to Baldonado. As much as Vinny Pasquantino has been struggling, especially with the strikeouts, we don't see that a whole lot. But I've got to give it to Baldonado to take that breath and challenge Vinny Pasquantino in that situation.
Only 5 times in Vinny Pasquantino's professional baseball life has he had 3 strikeouts in a game. Never at the major league level. And the last time was April 9th of last year for AAA Omaha at Indianapolis in an International League game when he was scuffling just in the early days of his AAA season. And you can see the big guy frustrated over there at first base. A ball and a strike on Jose Ramos, the leadoff man who has been the catalyst for Panama today. And Ramos gets under this one in the air to left, out into the jet stream as circling around it. And there to put it away, Miles Mastrobuoni.
The other part of this is too, Luis Ortiz, he keeps glancing at that lineup he's facing, how he's going to structure his pitching stuff. So you know you're going to face Vinny Pasquantino at some point. And to get an out like that in the 8th inning, put him away. Now all of a sudden you have to deal with Dominic Fletcher, but you have to deal with both of those guys in the same moment in the game. And I'll tell you right now, he has taken that at-bat into the field with him, frustrated, knowing he got a couple pitches he could handle, but Baldonado, from the pitching standpoint, challenging in that situation, so good.
You saw the new arm into the game for Italy as Matteo Bocci worked a stellar 8th with a couple of strikeouts. Edgar Munoz into the batter's box came on as the defensive replacement out of left field.
You see Albany's new pitcher here for Team Italy, trying to get his team back in the dugout. That one last chance here in the 9th inning. I tell you what, you go down last night. We've talked about this a lot with the atmosphere and the craziness. You roll out here. This is a team in Panama you feel like you can handle. Your offense is clicking. Pitching's been good. But you absolutely get shut down pitching and defense.
Another souvenir to the first base side. 2 balls and 2 strikes. What a game here on this Saturday afternoon. Inside Jung, 2-2 pitch. Right side, and that'll get past Pasquantino. Munoz digging around first will hold there as that thing scooted out quickly to Dominic Fletcher in right. And it's a 1-out base hit.
They're not done yet. Team Panama with that offense.
Brings in another defensive replacement now in the lineup, and Johnny Santos is out there in left. Spot in the lineup occupied in the start today by Luis Castillo, who's 0 for 3 and bounced into a pair of double plays. Albanese deals, and that one's ball 1.
Panama have Harvey Guerra warming up in their bullpen right now. Going to throw that 9th inning. San Diego Padres reliever.
Look at that dugout on the first base side. Enrique Burgos, coach, there with Guerra in the bullpen. 1-0 pitch on the way to Santos. Puts it even. Every game seeming to drip with more and more drama as we get closer to the apex of Pool A play. And coming up tonight at 7 o'clock local time, 6 a.m. Eastern time back in the United States. It's the Netherlands and Chinese Taipei, the top two teams in the pool after last night's win for Chinese Taipei over Italy in an absolute thriller. And you thought that crowd was good. It's going to be even better tonight as Santos check swings and bounces this one back to the mound. 1-4-3. Nope, safe at first is Santos, and the inning will continue. Good job getting the lead runner.
Yeah, we left that game last night, Tyler, at the Chinese Taipei, getting it done against Italy, and then we're like, hold on a minute, we're going to do it all again tonight against the Netherlands. Albany's just a little tired of getting that ball to second base. David Fletcher and Vinny Pasquantino just not enough on that stretch.
It's kind of funny when you look at a pitcher like Glenn Albanese from Wheaton, Illinois, in the Angels organization. His last name in the United States is one way. In Italy, it would be Albanese, presumably. And Patrick O'Connell, who's the MLB PR liaison with Italy, he said back in 2013 when Anthony Rizzo was on the team, he wanted to go by Rizzo. He wanted that to be the way it was pronounced while he was with this Italian team. And it really does just inspire these guys to investigate their heritage, to learn about the country their family came from, to be part of this Italian baseball community, which is so cool and so meaningful to not only the Italian baseball community itself, but also the Italian-American baseball community. Or, in the case of somebody like Robel Garcia, Dominican baseball community, as a fly ball into center field off the bat of Alan Cordova will send us to the bottom of the ninth in Taiwan. It's a 2-0 game. Panama with the lead over Italy. Italian team trying to save its chances on Saturday afternoon. 2-0 our score as we go to the bottom of the ninth in Taichung, Taiwan. Italy trying to salvage its opportunity to control its own destiny going into tomorrow as we look at standings in Pool A and Pool B. We've got a final from game number 1 of the day in Pool B. Australia routing China, an early termination victory there, 12-2 the final. The surprising green and gold at 2-0. Japan 2-0. They'll go against the Czech Republic tonight. And as we move into the ninth, the first pitch of the ninth is from the fireballing right-hander from the San Diego Padres, Javi Guerra, and it's up for ball 1 to Dominic Fletcher. It's not going to be easy in the ninth. It's 3-4-5 for Italy coming to the plate, but Guerra a very dynamic arm.
Yeah, it really is. Look at the command there, though. That can be the issue. He's already down 2-0. Dominic Fletcher, big prospect. So impressed with him. We're going to see him in the big leagues very soon. Panama clinging to this 2-0 lead.
Three straight fastballs at 98 miles an hour from Javi Guerra. Makes some deals to Fletcher. 97 that time.
That's just quick. Gets on you extremely quick. We'll say, though, this team can handle velo. We saw that against Cuba. You mentioned it, too. You see the 4-seam, 2-seam. Most of these are all 4-seam. He just has that run.
Staying alive on the 2-2.
Triple digits.
Man, man. This Team Italy offense coming into the day today had been outstanding and silenced by a Panamanian pitching staff and a Panama bullpen especially that had struggled mightily.
Yeah. A big reason for that, Humberto Mejia bridging that gap to get to Baldonado and then to this man right here, Javi Guerra, who's in it, has 2-2 count.
Guerra set from the letters his 2-2 pitch, 3-2.
That's been that pitch for him. To stay in the big leagues, that slider of his has to be more consistent. This is a situation Dominic Fletcher can sit fastball knowing he's going to get one. cheat a little bit. Try and get on base.
Play left side. You can see the fans are already. I mean, this crowd has grown as this game has gone today. A lot of people come out. They'll check out this afternoon game. They'll hang around for the night game tonight. We got down to the production area between games yesterday, and the line was already wrapping around the ballpark for the night game. So much still to be determined here in the ninth of the day game. 3-2 from Guerra.
And you can see Christian Bethencourt just sitting up middle. He's got that run on that ball. That ball's going to run to the outside part of the plate. Everyone in this ballpark knows exactly what pitch is coming. Especially 3-2. It's just a matter of Dominic Fletcher just trying to cheat on that fastball, get on base.
Another 3-2 pitch coming. Look at that high for ball 4, 99, and Fletcher lays off.
And that's the pitch too, that's just above the strike zone, which is so hard to lay off. Your eyes light up, thinking it's going to be in the middle, has that extra run, that extra life on it, and misses barrels. So Dominic Fletcher, I am so impressed. I keep saying it, obviously offensively, we saw the defensive play, but in that bat like that, in this situation, knowing you need base runners.
Have a mid-inning defensive change as Rodrigo Orozco heads out to left field in place of Edgar Munoz. It's an interesting move after the first batter of the inning.
Interesting. The only thing I can think of, because you never see that, obviously it's just a defensive switch late in the game, but are you switching out the range for the arm potentially with the base runner on? But I've never seen that. Here's Brett Sullivan. He's been banged up a little bit. He's not behind the plate.
First pitch, Sullivan back up the middle. Another dive by Tejada. Deflects off his glove. That deadens it enough to enable Fletcher to go first to third. Here comes Italy in the ninth.
Remember that energy we were talking about, or lack of, in that Italian dugout? All of a sudden, the heart rate's up a little bit. They are in business right now. Brett Sullivan guessing right, simply reacting on that swing of that fastball, taking it back up the middle. You're going to get plenty of them, middle of the plate. Going to have a conference at the mound right now as Justin Lawrence starts to get loose in that bullpen.
Real quick conversation there with Luis Ortiz. One big leaguer on the mound right now, another one throwing down there, and Justin Lawrence, a guy who I love the way Luis Ortiz described Justin Lawrence to us. Justin Lawrence moved away from Panama as a young kid, and Luis Ortiz said he is as Panamanian as anybody on this roster. The son of two Panamanians, a guy who prior to the qualifier was talking about how much he wanted to be on this team. And now working in the bullpen as Javi Guerra deals with runners at the corners.
And guess who's on deck? Nicky Lopez. This is a big out right here.
John Valenti takes strike one. Valenti singled to bring in the first run of Italy's 4-run 10th inning in the first game for this team against Cuba on Thursday night. Guerra's 0-1.
Javi Guerra, we talked about you're going to get fastballs. You know that. You saw Brett Sullivan just kind of reacting to that pitch. You see Christian Bethencourt setting up in the middle of the plate. That last pitch, that's the action you want on that ball. You can see it just swiveling around that index finger, setting up middle. He wants that run right in on the hands underneath Valenti's back. Just like that.
Good job by Valenti to spoil it.
The question is now for Javi Guerra, that secondary pitch is going to be crucial. He wants to get out of this inning unscathed. He has to land that slider at some point.
John Valenti, the Detroit Tigers prospect, 82 games last year with the AAA Toledo Mud Hens. Awaits an 0-2 pitch. Fouled again.
And again, you're going to see those fastballs until it becomes time where Javi Guerra says, you know what? I have to trust this slider in this situation. Try and get that swing and miss again. Here's another two-seam fastball running in on the hands. The more you throw, the more you're going to get those hitters to cheat, and that's where you can go to that slider butt.
0-2. Swung on and missed.
And you can see the reaction from Javi Guerra on that pitch. Again, when you are so confident with that 100-mile-per-hour fastball that runs in on the hands, and you're second-guessing that slider, you have to take that breath and you execute and stay on top of this pitch. Huge strikeout with Nicky Lopez coming up.
Pinch runner will enter at first base in place of Brett Sullivan. It's Ben DeLuzio who got the nod in center field the first couple of games for Mike Piazza's team.
Nicky Lopez in this situation, you've done it before plenty here in Taiwan. React to that fastball, knock it back up the middle.
Nicky Lopez has been a force in this World Baseball Classic so far. And he takes the first pitch for ball one.
Keep in mind too, Brett Sullivan, we talked about him not catching today. He's a little bit banged up. That knee after last night, twisted that knee a little bit. So that's going to take him out of a threat. He can run well for a catcher. That takes him out in regards to trying to steal a bag right here, getting the scoring position.
Lopez 6 for 11 in the Classic, 2 for 3 today. Ben DeLuzio diving back in over at first.
Excuse me, pinch runner. Ben DeLuzio. Will he take off?
Lopez 5 RBIs already this week, trying to add a 6th or more. Couldn't hold up, and it's 1-1. Panama's bullpen was a disaster the first 3 games of this World Baseball Classic, and today has been nothing short of brilliant. But Javi Guerra walking on the high wire right now with the tying runs aboard in the 9th.
I have the feeling DeLuzio at some point is going to take off. You talk about these tournaments and you start to press that panic button just a little bit, trying to force the issue here. I think he's going to take off, so Javi Guerra has to keep it close. Bethencourt has a cannon.
Here comes a 1-1 to Lopez. 2-1. The other thing you got to be careful with if you're Javi Guerra, this is not a major league ballpark. There is a ton of foul ground on that first base side. If you make an errant throw or get something past Alan Cordoba, easily you're going to bring in 1 run in Dominic Fletcher, and Ben DeLuzio is going to be able to run forever. Two balls and a strike. One big leaguer working to another. And Lopez fouls it away to make it even.
Tough pitch right there. Sudden 2-2. The other part of this is too, Valenti struck out on that slider, so it gets that in the back of your mind if you're Nicky Lopez. Javi Guerra is slow to the plate, but Bethencourt has a cannon behind the dish. Big spot right here for Nicky Lopez.
2-2. Bounce back to the mound. Guerra, the former shortstop, to the bag for 1 on to first. Got him! And Panama wraps up the win.
We're going to have a challenge, Tyler. Why not? I mean, you have that last challenge, last play of the game. Now Panama has to stall a little bit, their celebration. I think there's no way they're going to turn over this play, but why not?
Italy was unsuccessful on its earlier challenge, but because this is happening in the 9th, you can request another review. It's not the same as immediately initiating a challenge, but you got to go for it here. It's not going to matter. And Mike Piazza's team, after a spectacular win in game number 1 over Cuba, has slipped to 1-2. Panama has rallied from a couple of tough losses. There's the call confirmed. And we've got chaos in Pool A. What a win for Luis Ortiz's team.
And what a job by that man right there, Humberto Mejia. We talked about the struggles in the bullpen. He started game 1, only threw 38 pitches. That was key. Beating Chinese Taipei the way they did, he was able to come out of that game and then pick up his beaten up bullpen. Harvey Guerra with that big double play to end it. Defense behind. What a way for them to finish out their pool play as well.
It was Italy's defense that kept this game close by turning double play after double play after double play, and in the end, Italy hits into one to end this game. Nicky Lopez so brilliant throughout. An outstanding day for him with a couple of hits, and just unable to get there ahead of the throw from Jonathan Arauz that wraps up this win for Panama. So as noted, we've got nothing decided in Pool A here in Taichung as Luis Ortiz's team has come through with a win. And Panama now throws these standings into chaos, wrapping up its World Baseball Classic journey with a second win in 4 games. And we will see you all right back here in Taichung later tonight, 7 o'clock local time, 6 a.m. Eastern back in the United States. Don't miss our continuing coverage of Pool A from Intercontinental Baseball Stadium here in Taichung. The Kingdom of the Netherlands, led by Xander Bogaerts, will take on Yu Chang and Chinese Taipei off of its jubilant win last night. For Ryan Rowland-Smith and our entire crew, this is Tyler Mon saying goodbye for now. And thanks for watching another thriller in this presentation of the 2023 World Baseball Classic.